does it take to be the man? What pressures come along with great expectations, with the knowledge that you're supposed to be the best? Michael Jordan knows. He knows the burden of being on center stage, always in the spotlight. He also knows that personal success alone is unfulfilling. That greatness is measured by the ability to lead your team to a championship. Jordan knows the expectations Grant Hill is now facing.
The pressures help you mature to deal with the expectations. Michael Jordan has emerged as a player through hard times as well as good times to get to another level.
How will Hill handle that kind of pressure? Tonight, more lessons on life in the NBA's elite for both the master and the pupil.
This is the NBA on NBC. Tonight, a special Christmas edition. The Detroit Pistons versus the Chicago Bulls.
A capacity crowd, better than 21,000 turning out on Christmas night in Chicago. The Bulls come in at 24-3. That is the best record in the NBA. And they come in with a 7-game win streak, while Detroit off to a stunning start at 20-5. That's the second best record in the league, and the Pistons have won 9 of their last 11 games. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Matt Gukas. Happy holidays from all of us at NBC Sports, and this Christmas night special should be a dandy. Matt, first the Detroit story, Grant Hill and his Pistons, clearly the surprise team in the NBA this season, and they have been doing it with the long-range bomb.
Well, the Pistons at 20-5 are living high on the three-pointer, shooting an incredible 45%. That's like 67% in two-point shots. The rejuvenated Joe Dumars, best in the NBA, just under 53%. Terry Mills at one point knocked in a record-tying 13 in a row from downtown. And Lindsey Hunter, no slouch at 37%. How do they get such good looks? Well, the ability of Grant Hill to penetrate, get into the lane, draw the defense. He is a willing playmaker.
And for Chicago, Michael Jordan and the Bulls just rolling right along at 24-3. They are right where they were a year ago.
Well, with Chicago, it all starts with Michael Jordan, leading the NBA at 31 a game, going for his 9th scoring title. Here's what most teams around the league feel about getting ready for Michael. He has taken more and more jump shots, saving the drive when the outside shot is off. He has patented the fadeaway jumper off the right block. Though Michael's steals are down this year, always dangerous at the defensive end, but you must make him work on defense. Michael may be older, but he is wiser and still has that championship drive.
All right, and right here, we'll take a break. When we come back, it's the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons on Christmas night in the Windy City.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. For the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. By the full line of new 1997 cars from Mitsubishi, built for living. And by Sony's PlayStation. Choose from over 150 games. Better yet, buy them all.
Back in. Phil Jackson going to a smaller lineup, so starting Tony Kukoc at center rather than Bill Wennington, who had been subbing for the injured Luke Longley. Kukoc starting only a 2nd game this season. As always, we're joined on the sidelines by the Dean of Sideline Reporting, Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. I talked to Michael Jordan before the game. He said he is very excited playing in a game like this because at this point in his career, it's all about challenges, and he gets those challenges in the form of rising stars like Grant Hill. He also said he's playing with with a lot more explosion, a lot quicker this year. And the reason being was 2 years ago, he played basketball every single day during the summer to get his game back. He did get his game back, but he also got a bad case of tendonitis. This last offseason, he didn't play basketball at all. He's playing at a lighter weight, and he says he does have more quickness, more explosion, and the most important thing, he does not have that tendonitis that plagued him throughout the season last year, Marv.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. And moments ago, this is the scene as Michael Jordan and Doug Collins, the head coach of the Pistons, the former head coach of the Chicago Bulls, greeted each other. Doug in his second year as head man of the Pistons after 6 years in television, the early line favorite for Coach of the Year honors.
And understandably so, with his team off to such a fantastic start at 20-5. I was talking to Doug before the game, and he said the two biggest problems for this game today is, first of all, trying to score. You remember in the first game, they were beaten 98-80, did not score one fast break basket. He hates the matchup. His other big problem is when Tony Kukoc comes off the bench. Well, at least he doesn't have to worry about that with Tony Kukoc starting, but he hates all of his matchups against Tony Kukoc. But I think the Pistons will be able to at least go inside in this ballgame, at least go inside to Thorpe and Long a little bit to establish some kind of presence there.
The Bulls have beaten the Pistons 17 straight, including the last 14 here in Chicago. And the Pistons control the opening tip. The officials, Jess Kersey, Ron Alessiak, and Scott Foster. And here's Grant Hill for Grant Long. Joe Dumars, played by Michael Jordan. This is a rivalry that goes back to Jordan's early years. Otis Thorpe putting the move on Dennis Rodman. I don't know if glass was the intent, but he'll take it.
You really don't know, huh? Well, there's that inside presence I was talking about for a couple of reasons. First of all, Doug Collins, like a lot of coaches around the league, despite Dennis being on the all-defensive team last year, he's a guy many coaches feel you can go inside and attack. The other is you got to go inside before you can go out for some of that three-point shooting.
Kukoc being played by Long, rebounded by Thorpe. Chicago Bulls have been getting off to slow starts as Grant Hill gives Detroit a 4-0 lead. That was the case Monday night here against New Jersey. They won it 113-81, but the Nets led by 16 in the first quarter.
And right off the bat there, you see Grant Hill really on a 2-on-4 situation, creating a fast break opportunity basket.
Hopper hits the three. Ron Hopper. And the Pistons up 4-3. Why haven't the Bulls had a problem with slow starts? Michael Jordan says at times it's because of lack of practice. They've been using the opening quarters to get themselves into a rhythm. Well, that's one school of thought. As Jordan fires, Rodman with the rebound and pumps it up. Well, the former Detroit Piston is able to hit on a rare fadeaway.
Now, Dennis's sixth game back from that two-game suspension. He's obviously been rebounding like a madman, about 18 a game, but he's also been more offensive-minded. He realizes he has to chip in that area, especially in the absence of Luke Longley.
Rodman guarding for Kukoc, reaching in to poke it away. And here comes Hopper.
I mentioned Luke Longley in that last game. Luke Longley scored all 16 of his points in the first quarter and got the Bulls off and running.
Offensive rebound by Rodman to keep it alive for the new 24. Pippen. Yes. The Bulls with 7 unanswered points after the Pistons opened with the first 4. Grant Hill, guarded by Scottie Pippen, goes to the crossover, then met on a switch by Tony Kukoc. Nice play by Hill. He was able to slap it off Kukoc.
I'm a little surprised that Grant Hill settling for that jump shot after getting the switch with Tony Kukoc on him. Tony is not a particularly good defender out on the floor, does not have the lateral movement, but I don't think there's anybody in the league who can play Grant Hill and keep him from getting the basket, even Scottie Pippen, who's got the initial responsibility here.
Hill getting the pick from Thorpe, setting it up for Hunter.
Doug Collins look away there. That's the baskets that the Pistons absolutely need from Lindsey Hunter when Hill half penetrates, which is what he did there.
And Jordan with his first field goal. So the Bulls with 9 unanswered, and they have a 9-4 lead. The Detroit Pistons off to their best ever start. They are more than a month ahead of last year's team, which won its 20th game on 24th of January. They come in at 20-5. Grant Long firing from deep, and off the mix-up. Bulls will give it right back to the Pistons.
So we see both teams settling for jump shots. Now that is the Bulls game in their triangle offense. That's what's afforded most of the time. And as an opposing coach, you don't mind a lot of the jump shots, even if they're dropping. You don't want them to get inside and overpower you and draw fouls.
Dumas to draw the foul, and Kukoc called for a travel.
And even though the perimeter game is that of the Detroit Pistons, so far the Pistons settling for too many jump shots. They have to establish something inside, possibly draw a foul, get something going to the basket, or draw a defender.
Kukoc, they give it right back. Now Jordan posting up over Dumas. Opportunity for the Bulls. Harper for 3. Kukoc to the rim. 11 straight Chicago points. Doug Collins takes a 20-second timeout, and he is upset.
Well, a little deja vu for Doug Collins and the Detroit Pistons in the meeting earlier in the year when both teams were 4-0. Fairly close game in the third quarter. Still anybody's game, and it was these kinds of plays. Second shot after second shot. Loose ball after loose ball going the way of the Chicago Bulls, who right now in the early going, once again, have the live bodies, and they are quicker to the loose ones.
11 straight points for the Bulls. Tony Kukoc starting at center this evening. Phil Jackson can certainly afford to do that against a club like Detroit, so he goes with Kukoc and a smaller lineup rather than Bill Wennington.
And this would be similar to the type of team that they have that finishes ball games. Steve Kerr might be the guy in there in place of Ron Harper, but by starting Kukoc, who prefers to start, it's only his second of the year, even though he's last year's sixth-man award winner. It still messes up the rotation for Phil Jackson with Kukoc starting.
Hill looking to do it off the dribble, and he does. What a move by Grant Hill. Pistons had missed their previous 4 shots, and Hill doing it at one of the best defensive players in the league, Scottie Pippen.
Well, you can imagine what Doug Collins said during that 20-second timeout. Guys, enough for the jump shots. Let's get to the hole.
The Bulls 11 and the Pistons 6. Another deflection. Good hands by the Pistons on this sequence. Pippen fires. The Bulls 13 and the Pistons 6. Scottie Pippen hitting his first 2 shots. Pistons also a very unusual club in that Grant Hill will handle the ball most frequently. So there's no true point guard. Here's Lindsey Hunter for 3. Kept alive by Grant Long. Joe Dumars will handle the ball upon occasion. Hill off the head fake, had the baseline closed, and an illegal defense called for the first time against Chicago. 6:38 remaining in this first quarter. A 13-6 Bulls lead. A look at Hill putting on the floor and doing it against Scottie Pippen.
At Dennis Rodman and showing why he is one of the top rebounders in the NBA, along with Jason Williams and Charles Barkley so far in this first third of the season. If you don't box out Dennis Rodman, and you almost have to do it by face guarding him, this is what he'll do. Get second shot after second shot. Here he's looking for the second scoring opportunity, and when he gets a defensive rebound, he is one of the best in the league at starting the fast break.
Dennis Rodman last year won the rebounding title for the 5th straight season. He averaged just under 15 per game. This year at 15.8, so second to Jason Williams of New Jersey, although Jason has knee problems and has been struggling to stay on the floor in recent games. The Bulls 13 and the Pistons 6. 6.5 remaining, first quarter. Off the fake, Hill off the mark. And again, a rebound for Rodman. That's 4 for Rodman.
Well, you can see how Scottie Pippen respects the driving ability of Grant Hill, and why not, would rather give him that perimeter shot than getting beat on the crossovers and spins.
Now Kukoc had it poked away. Grant Long getting a piece of it. Grant Long, the guy who gets the most out of his skills. Terrific work ethic. Played 6.5 years with Miami, then spent 1.5 years with Atlanta. Now in the starting lineup for the Detroit Pistons. Jordan had it actually deflected by Dumars on the way up, was able to recover and hit the shot.
And almost had a time for a little cup of coffee while he was up in the air. His ability to hang in the air that extra split second to recapture the basketball and still fling it towards the basket.
Michael Jordan, 2 of 4. A three-pointer. That has been the specialty of the Detroit Pistons' Lindsey Hunter. With the Pistons' first 3 of the game, they are shooting 45% from three-point range. That is first in the league. And Joe Dumars leads the NBA at 53% from three-point land. 15-9 the Bulls. And again, good hands, a lot of deflections, and coaches just love to see their guys get the hand on the ball. That time knocked out of bounds with 1 on the shot clock.
Well, you know, Detroit, one of the best defensive teams in the league. They don't do it with a lot of pressure, but sound basics.
Oh, what a play. That's got to get Doug Collins crazy.
And they're also usually good at playing the situations, which that one was, but they fell asleep at the switch there.
So the Bulls now lead 17-9 with just under 5 minutes left in this first quarter. Dumars with a runner. Joe Dumars, who has been rejuvenated this season at the age of 33, had to change his role last year, looking to give way to Allen Houston and Lindsey Hunter, and was out of position. Oh, Dumars trying to draw the foul. Rodalesiak said no way. Jordan sweeping in for the rebound, and he was fouled.
Well, on a side out of bounds play, Michael Jordan coming off that screen, had the ball deflected, but his eyes never left the target. One reason why he was able to hang on and still shoot the basketball, and Grant Long getting completely faked out on the play, jumping out to stop a guy coming off the screen, and no help inside as Kukoc left all alone for the easy lay. And Joe Dumars talking with referee Ron Alessia goes, why not the foul on Jordan in the post? And he turned and argued after he went down, and that enabled Jordan to get to the offensive glass.
He was fouled by Long. Jordan extends to a 19-11 Chicago lead. Here's some pressure by Jordan against Dumars. Protects the dribble. Setting the pick. Jordan staying with Dumars. Now Rodman comes over on a double team. And here's Hope taking it to the hoop. Whoa, a facial tossed at Tony Kukoc.
And Tony was waiting, but too far underneath the basket, head under the net. That's why he did not get the charge call. We saw aggressive defense by Michael Jordan, trying to keep that pick and roll from getting over the top, forcing it to the baseline.
Pippen from Kukoc. So Scottie Pippen off to a good start. 3 of 4 from the field. 6 points. Bulls lead 21-13. And Chicago has hit 60% here at the start. 9 of 16. 3 minutes, 40 seconds to go in this opening quarter. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad from Chicago. Hill again to the crossover. Hill, yes. 6 points for Grant Hill, who comes in averaging just under 21 per game. 6-point Chicago lead. Here's the double on Jordan. And Rodman, who hit earlier, leads to the loose ball foul. And Rodman looked like he was going to fire the ball in the direction of the official, who actually ducked away. Foul was called on Dennis.
While Otis Thorpe getting that clear lane to the basket, no resistance there with Tony Kukoc too far into that. You see Scottie Pippen giving ground, trying to keep Grant Hill from getting all the way to the basket and dunking, but still giving up that little intermediate half hook.
Pistons have hit their last 4 shots. Hunter's pass picked off. Here comes Jordan. On the breakaway, And the Bulls lead by 8.
And that's why the Chicago Bulls are NBA champions. They do this on a regular basis. When they force a turnover out at the top of the key area, they turn it into a quick, easy strike.
Kukoc switching off to Dumars. Shot clock at 6. Dumars eluding Kukoc for the shot. Beautifully done by Joe Dumars.
But a smart defensive play by Tony Kukoc. That's a mismatch for him out on the floor, but he ran Joe Dumars off the 3, forced him to put the ball on the floor, forced him to take a tough shot. Joe was still able to get it.
And Harper on the drive was fouled. Blocking foul is called. Down to 2:18 left in the first quarter. And a timeout taken. Bulls by 6. And here is Michael Jordan just a moment ago off the lead from Tony Kukoc. Good starter. From time to time during the course of our telecast, we will give you a behind-the-scenes look at scouting reports on the players, the strengths and weaknesses as called by Matt and his staff of unnamed sources.
Oh, there's Grant Hill. Obviously, the ability to make people better because he can put the ball on the floor and draw the defense. A much improved shooter this year, yet teams would still rather see him take that shot. And I don't think there's anybody in the league. Well, maybe Michael Jordan still can do it. With the crossovers, the spins, the ability to get to the basket. And even though Grant Hill is a good defender, one of the best in the league at his position, you have to make him work at that end of the floor.
Matt, what I particularly like about your scouting reports, by the end of the season, no players will be speaking to you. And here's Harper at the line as we resume with 2:18 left in the first quarter. Let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, Mark, Doug Collins telling his team during their timeout that they were way too passive. He felt like they were just sitting back and taking it. He wants them to be more aggressive and take the ball right at Chicago. Mark?
All right, Ahmad. Bulls with a 6-point lead. And Hill handles against Pippen. The Detroit Pistons, the surprise team of the season. They lost Allen Houston, who signed a free agent contract with the New York Knicks. They thought they had a good shot at Juwan Howard, but did not get him. And Hill now has 8 points, but the Pistons are a superior ball club than they were a year ago. Plus, they were not able to re-sign Mark West. Ended up signing with Cleveland. Appeared to be a bleak season, but that has not been the case. But I don't think anyone from Doug Collins right on down expected this. 20-5 on Christmas Day.
Well, I think, Mark, they knew they would be a better defensive team as Scottie Pippen, who really has the hot hand from the perimeter, knocking the 3 down there. Even though Allen Houston was coming on, improving as a defensive player, still a guy that they look to score. But with Lindsey Hunter, who has found a niche and a role as a defensive player with his team, and Joe Dumars, a very sound defensive player, they are better overall as a team.
Shot clock is down to 5. They double up on Hill. Looks like Pippen got a piece of it. 7-point Bulls lead. Detroit had hit their previous 6 straight. Got off to the slow start, only 3 of 9, but they've come on. Long picks off the Rodman pass. Just under 1 minute left in this opening quarter. Here is Long. Grant Long cuts it to a 5-point Chicago lead. The Bulls with 7 straight wins. Coming off the victory over the New Jersey Nets on Monday night, they are 11-1 here at home. The only loss December 7th. Michael Jordan. So 10 points for Jordan. And the Bulls lead at 28-21. Dumars fouled by Jordan. Hacking call. Michael getting a piece of the hand of Joe Dumars.
Keep an eye on Scottie Pippen up at the top here, just hanging around the perimeter. So many jump shots taken by the Chicago Bulls, and just being there in the right place at the right time as it got knocked loose to Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan very upset with himself on fouling the jump shooter Joe Dumars, but the Chicago Bulls scouting report against Detroit, of course, is the obvious, that the Pistons always looking for that 3-point shot, and Michael trying to take Joe off it there, committed a foolish foul.
And Joe Dumars, one of the better free throw shooters in the NBA. Michael Jordan apparently discussing that last foul call with Grant Hill. Great respect between Michael Jordan and Grant Hill. 28-23, the Bulls with the 5-point lead as we come up on 10 seconds to go. First quarter, Steve Kerr has checked in for the first time. And Jordan called for a travel. So not a pleasant stretch here for Michael Jordan.
Well, this has been a directive from the league from the beginning of the season to call more walking violations when they occur. Let's watch him lay a little fake right, go left. Michael did shuffle the feet. He did not like the call by Ron Olesiak and let him know about it. Also, more attention paid to palming the ball and carrying it. So much has been made of Allen Iverson with that particular move.
Terry Mills on the floor along with Laterial Green as Detroit looks to get off this last second shot. Here's Mills. Fired one up from three-point range. Not bad. He rimmed the basket. Not bad for a guy coming off the bench. So after what? Here in Chicago, it's the Bulls with a 5-point lead. Grant Hill 4 of 7, 8 points in this opening quarter. And Michael Jordan 4 of 6 for 10. We'll be back in Chicago with the second quarter in just a moment.
This is the NBA on NBC. Happy holidays.
A moment ago, Michael Jordan was called for this as a travel. And here's what he had to say. Here's the response to the official, Ron Olesiak.
Well, Michael giving the definitive explanation there, saying, hey, it's a crossover move. The left foot was the pivot foot. Fake right, go left, little crossover move. And now after we've seen it 4 or 5 times, I think that left foot was still, and it was not a walk. But in the eyes of the official, a lot of times they make walking call violations just because something looks amiss.
And as you mentioned, there is a bit more pressure to make these calls. They're trying to cut out the palming and the traveling violations. 28-23, the Bulls with the lead. Detroit 10 of 18 from the field in the first quarter, and Chicago 12 for 20. Jordan with Kerr, Pippen, Rodman, and Kutos on the floor for Phil Jackson. And here's Pippen. He's got the hot hand. Grant Long reaching for that rebound and was tripped up by Dennis Rodman.
Very tentative trip that time by the Bulls with their triangle offense. Everybody out of sync there. One of the reasons for that is they haven't had a lot of practice time. And about a week ago in Philadelphia, Tex Winter, the assistant coach for Chicago, the master and architect of the triangle, had a big play. Oh, beautiful move by Grant Hill on a post-up situation, which is something that he should probably do more of instead of always facing the basket.
This Tex Winter not pleased about the ball movement from time to time this season. And here's Pippen.
And Scottie has really fallen in love with the jump shot now. He's been shooting it at every opportunity.
4 of 7 overall for Pippen. Nice ball movement by the Pistons. Green. And Pippen with the rebound. Tony Kukoc in the starting lineup tonight at the center position is going with the smaller lineup against the Pistons. Another offensive board for Rodman. And the foul against the Bulls. It's on Pippen. Offensive foul. Scottie would not hand the ball over to the official, Scott Foster. Phil Jackson has not been happy with the officiating here in the first quarter. Phil Jackson took over the Bulls back in 1989 from Doug Collins after serving as an assistant under Doug, and there is no great love between the two. Here's Hill able to penetrate, and Grant Hill has taken over. He now has 12, and it leads to a Chicago timeout. We are early second quarter. The Bulls 28 and the Pistons 27.
NBC is brought to you by Sprite. Image is nothing. Thirst is everything. Obey your thirst. Sprite. By Acura, who invites you to test drive the new CL Luxury Sports Coupe. And by U.S. Navy. Navy, let the journey begin.
Well, Doug Collins and the Detroit Pistons, desperately looking for some kind of a post-up game, have gone to Grant Hill. You see the damage he does in and around the basket with his driving ability. The last two hoops for Grant Hill, excellent post position against Tony Kukoc. And then Tony Kukoc just does not have the lateral movements to keep Grant Hill from getting to the basket. But Grant has to continually keep looking from time to time for that perimeter shot to keep defenses honest.
2 minutes gone by in the second quarter, and the Bulls lead 28-27. Kerr coming off the pick, but Green is right with him. Here's Jordan trying to rub off Dumars and draws the foul. Well, coming up at halftime, be sure to catch The Year in Sports. Join us as we take a special look back at 1996, and what a terrific year it's been. You can relive all the drama and excitement of this year's unbelievable and unforgettable moments. That's The Year in Sports coming up at halftime right here on NBC. Michael Jordan, an 84% free throw shooter, comes in averaging just under 31 per game. He leads the NBA in scoring.
Michael still gets his 7 or 8 free throws a game on average, but he doesn't really drive to the basket unless it's needed in a particular section of a ball game. That's where the maturity has come in for Michael Jordan, where in his younger days he used to just fly through the air, take the ball to the basket with reckless abandon, didn't care, wanted to get to the line 15, 16 times.
Shot clock at 5. And Hill able to spin his way. Back comes Kukoc, but the Pistons able to get back on the transition. Open shot for Kerr.
Steve didn't realize how open he was. He was just going to pass the ball back out top, but all the Chicago players were underneath the basket, so why not launch it?
Bulls lead by 5. Dumars and Green out the guards. Hill with Long and Mills up front. Long. Rodman tried to draw the foul. Here's Long. Couple of good opportunities by the Pistons, but they did not hit. 8 minutes 45 seconds remaining in this first half from Chicago. Here's Pippen. For Scottie Pippen. He has 12 points, and it opens up an 8-point Bulls. Earlier today here on NBC, the Lakers defeated the Suns 108-87. So the Lakers move into a first-place tie with Seattle with a record of 20-9. Shaquille O'Neal with 26 points. Eddie Jones had 24.
Oh, we saw Joe Dumars and Terry Mills trying to set up a little two-man game, a little pick and pop to get Mills open at the three-point line, but the Bulls wisely switch on the play, and Terry Mills had Michael Jordan on him and still stood out on the perimeter. He's got to go inside at that point.
Well, Mills with the save to slap it away from Jordan. Dumars. So the Pistons not able to hit from downtown. Mills swept. Play by Kerr. Last touch, though, by Chicago.
Terry Mills getting a little aggressive around the basket, going in there, but Steve Kerr reaching in and knocking loose. And Terry Mills shouldn't be thought of as just a three-point shooter. He has a post game and is an excellent passer when the ball goes inside him, but he is so comfortable beyond that arc at this point in the season.
And as you can see, the Pistons only 1 of 6 from three-point range this evening. Here's a crossover, although Hill lost it off his foot. And then the pass for Long, but it's a 3-second violation.
I can't tell you how good that defense is by Scottie Pippen, guarding a guy like Grant Hill who has all those moves, all that ability to get the basket. And for the most part, Scottie Pippen has made him at least pull up from getting all the way to that rim.
Doug Collins screaming to his club, we got to get some movement, guys. Here's Kerr. Steve Kerr's in 2 in a row. And the Bulls now lead by 10. 9-0 by Chicago, and they have their biggest lead of the game. Timeout taken by Detroit. 7:32 left in this first half. Chicago by 10. We'll be back in a moment. Well, a solid first half from Michael Jordan. check out the stat line. 4 of 6 from the field for his 12 points. Matt, you were discussing how Michael has made adjustments, 8 scoring titles to lead the way in that department, but he's changed his game in recent years. We talked about that with one of Michael's longtime opponents, Joe Dumars.
His game has evolved over the years, too, though. He's not about the spectacular play as much as he used to be. He's a little bit more subtle in his movements now, and it's tougher to gear up for that, because he's not going to go out there and do anything that just wow you every time. He's going to set you up slowly. He's going to do what it takes to get the job done. He's very tough to guard now, probably more so now than it used to be.
And Joe was part of the Bad Boys back in the 80s, along with Isaiah Thomas, Vinnie Johnson, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, who had the Jordan rules. Don't let Michael get into the lane and elevate. Foul him legally, but foul him hard, and just don't give him any kind of dunks. Now Michael has become pretty much of a jump shooter.
Strange to hear the name Joe Dumars mentioned among the Bad Boys. He had a membership card, but I think that was about as far as it went. And the ball back to the Pistons. 7 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the first half. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad from Chicago. 10-point lead for the Bulls. We were talking earlier about the strength of this Detroit team, aside from their defensive play, the fact they're hitting a three-point shot. That has not been the case, though, thus far tonight. Otis Thorpe back on the floor, being played by Dennis Rodman. Nice move by Thorpe. And Rodman with the rebound. That's 7 rebounds for Rodman. He'll get it from behind, but Pippen is right there to follow. What a play, though, by Grant Hill.
Terrific recovery by Grant Hill, but what Doug Collins will be upset about, none of the other Pistons hustled back to follow up the play. Took it for granted. It would be a lay-in.
11-0 run by Chicago. They want more. Scottie Pippen has opened up a 14-point lead. And a standing ovation for the Bulls.
Well, if you get careless with the ball or give up a clean defensive rebound, this is what the Chicago Bulls will do to you. Terrific block by Grant Hill, but Scottie Pippen not taking it for granted. Follows up as the Pistons slow getting back. And here the outlet to Scottie Pippen for the breakaway.
I'm Dan Hicks in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll take a look back at the year in sports. The many memorable moments, which of course includes the Chicago Bulls winning over 70 games and the NBA title. Bob Costas joins us for that. We'll have highlights of the early game as well here on NBC between the Lakers and the Suns. And we'll get the thoughts of Julius and Peter Vesey on the first half of Detroit and Chicago. The Bulls lead at 41-27 as we rejoin Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thank you, Dan. 13-0 run by Chicago, and they have their biggest lead of the night. Scottie Pippen, instrumental, 16 points in all, 7 points during the course of the run.
And Scottie Pippen came out shooting jumpers and making the jump shots, and it's almost taken too many, making 7 of them, or I should say 5 of them from the perimeter. They got those breakaway dunk and the follow-up shot, and more importantly, the defensive job he's doing on Grant Hill, who is 6 for 10 from the field, which is good, and Hill with some spectacular moves, but no assists for Grant Hill.
And a pushing foul is called. The Pistons have missed their last 5 shots. They've gone nearly 4 minutes without a point. How do you play Scottie Pippen? Well, let's check out the Matt Dukas scouting report.
Well, Scottie Pippen, much like Grant Hill, the point forward, does most of the ball handling, loves to get out on that open floor, loves to make passes to his teammates, and even though Scottie will take a lot of jump shots, as a defensive team, you'd rather see him do that than get to the basket.
Offensive foul called on Hill. The ball will go back to the Bulls. The Chicago Bulls looking for their 8th straight win. A record of 24-3. That's the best record in the NBA, leading the Central Division by 3 games over Detroit. And 24-3 equals last season's Bulls for the best record after 27 games in the history of the Chicago franchise. Final seconds of the shot clock, and is a 3-second violation. However, Pat, to stay on track with last year's team, the Bulls would have to win the next 17 games because they were at one point 41-3.
And talking with Jimmy Rogers, their assistant coach, before the game, saying, hey, we are not even playing our best basketball right now. It is all ahead of us. And keep in mind, they don't have Luke Longley, who is a big part of their team.
Yes, Luke, who probably will not try his hand at aquatic events for some time. And that is the first Detroit bucket in 5 minutes. Bulls now lead 41-29. So Joe Dumars with 8 points. Off the steal, here comes Hunter. Pippen back. Hunter challenges and is able to go all the way. Lindsey Hunter in his 4th year out of Jackson State is averaging 14 a game. Bulls 41, Pistons 31. Jordan for 3. And a loose ball foul on Kukoc.
Michael Jordan on the post-up, and the Pistons make a concerted effort to take him out of that, forcing the turnover as the Pistons getting one of their rare fast break baskets, only their second one of this ballgame. Michael Jordan a little frustrated right now, a little bit out of himself for that turnover, a little unhappy with the way that the Bulls are executing in their half court.
Now the matchup, Kukoc defending against Hill, trying to crossover and off the foot of Kukoc. Here's the lead for Rodman.
How about that defensive play by Tony Kukoc? After, I think I said earlier, he doesn't have the lateral movement to stay with Grant Hill. Well, he doesn't, but he does have long arms and able to come up with that steal and start the break.
And that was assist number 6 for Kukoc, setting up Rodman. Rodman with a second field goal. Otis Thorpe, yes. Otis Thorpe, who has been the starting center last season. Detroit went with Don Reed, a rookie out of Georgetown, was the last pick of the 95 draft. Ended up starting 46 games at center. This year, Reed is not playing much. Kukoc for 3. 7 points for Tony Kukoc.
Well, you talk so much about Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and what they do for the Chicago Bulls, but Tony Kukoc coming off the bench, starting in this one, such a valuable player for these Chicago Bulls in so many different areas.
The Bulls lead by 13, 3:20 to go, first half. Hunter out of bounds. Not an artistically play, but Hunter was afraid he was about to travel, so had to get rid of the ball.
I talked to Lindsey earlier. He said that he really felt he improved his little intermediate game, driving to the basket, taking non-3-point shots. Worked hard in the offseason on that part of his game and has improved it, but still relies heavily on that.
Beautiful move by Hill, but at the last instant he was turned back. Battle down low between Jordan and Dumars. Curve for 3. Apparently an air ball carries out of bounds. Might have grazed the rim as it went out.
And Michael barking at Steve Kerr there. First of all, he had post position. Steve unable to create a good passing angle to get it inside and then launched a very poor shot. Michael, let him hear about it.
The Bulls have a 13-point lead. 2.5 to go in this first half. Reach-in foul is called. Foul on Kukoc.
Tony Kukoc gets a lot of ribbing from his teammates about his defense. I'm sure he will remind them that he just took the ball off one of the best players in basketball, Grant Hill. And Tony, an excellent passer in every situation out on the floor, always has that head up and likes to pass the ball.
Try to lose Jordan off a pick, could not. Here's a 3-point shot by Hill. Rebounded by Jordan. Oh, stolen by Hill. Hill able to get down court to get it back. Dumars. Stay right here, says Ronalesiak, and a blocking foul on Jordan. For Michael, that is his second foul.
Oh, of Grant Hill taking a rare three-point shot, trying to get some kind of scoring going for the Pistons, but then, like a free safety in football, getting back in the middle of the floor, and with that athletic ability, able to get high in the air. Grant should know something about football, that Calvin carried the pigskin quite well in his career.
Calvin Hill did it at Yale, then to the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. Rodman called for the foul. That is his second. And for the Bulls, their 15th foul. So they are over the limit. And Grant Hill to the line for the first time. Rodman going with the multi-colored holiday look.
This is an uncharacteristic game for Grant Hill, and I think he almost has the mentality he's trying to do so much in the scoring area, as they know that is so important against Chicago. This is just his first and second time at the free throw line where he is a frequent visitor. He only has one rebound and no assist, and that's usually where he helps his ball club a great deal.
He is the high man, though, for the Pistons with 14. Jordan rebounded by Long with 1:45 left, first half. Detroit with the ball down by 11. They are only 1 of 8, though, from three-point range, and they have been on fire from downtown, leading the NBA in that department. Way off. That was a forced three. Rodman hustles for the rebound. Pippen way off after beating both Thorpe and Hunter. Now, Hunter moves back in a hurry. Chicago did not get back. Loose ball foul is called, and Rodman is upset. Foul on Dennis. That's his third. Oh, this could be a delay of game.
Here, Dennis Rodman trying to get in there, push people out of the way, trying to get Grant Long too far underneath the basket and caught for the little shove. Very unhappy, and this has been a big problem for Dennis, not only this year, but throughout his career. Talking about uncharacteristic, Mark, the only substitution that Chicago has made has been Steve Kerr for Ron Harper. Everybody else in that starting five has gone all the way in this first half. Usually, Phil Jackson goes to his bench quite often. And now we see Jason Caffey ready to come in.
Rodman's still upset, still discussing it, and very fortunate the officials were compassionate. They could have hit him either with a technical or a delay of game because he put the ball down at the other end of the court, and now Phil Jackson decides to sit Rodman down. Jason Caffey, as you mentioned, checks in, as does Judge Bushwood. And Scottie Pippen will get a rest. 16 points for Pippen. Grant Hill sitting down with 14.
Grant has gone all the way up until this point, and Joe Dumars so far has played every minute in his first half.
1:15 left in the half. The Bulls lead by 10. Going to be played by Dumars. Thorpe jumping out on a switch to help. This is Caffey. Jordan for three. Rebounded by Caffey. And the Bulls have been in command on the offensive glass. Good coach. Guarded by Long. Good look from Kerr. It counts. The foul. Jason Caffey, second-year player from Alabama, first-round draft pick a year ago, able to hit. He'll go to the line.
Nice heads-up play by Steve Kerr, who was actually looking over to the right wing for Tony Kukoc on that little pick-and-pop play and got bopped in the face, which kept him from making the pass, and then he was able to find Caffey all alone underneath as the Piston defense, usually very sharp, falling asleep on many occasions in this first half.
Pat, I love when you go with that strong basketball terminology, bopped in the face. 35 seconds remaining in the first half. Thorpe gets the shot off. Crowd looking for a travel. Well, moments ago, you saw Dennis Rodman in a heated exchange with the officials. Here's what he had to say.
Letting the official know that they're holding him at the other end, at his offensive rebounding end, which is what you're supposed to do. So Luke Longley looking on there, but That's not why Dennis was called for his third foul. He was called for pushing Grant Long from behind. But Dennis always kind of on the periphery of things, thinking about past situations.
Ron Harper is back. Dennis Rodman, former Detroit Pistons, spent 7 years with Detroit, key member of their 2 NBA championship teams. 49-37 Chicago. Out of 25 seconds left in the half, and the ball back to the Pistons. Michael Curry, who checked in a moment ago, will inbound, but now Grant Hill, Terry Mills make their return. Doug Collins looking for some offense. Thorpe and Long will depart. Down to 20 seconds in the first half. And Hill works the clock down to 10. Now they'll start the play. Hunter for 3. So time runs out in this first half here in Chicago. Detroit 1 of 10 from three-point range. That is a key factor. Scottie Pippen, 7 of 11, 16 points, 7 rebounds. Michael Jordan with 12, along with 5 rebounds. Grant Hill leading Detroit with 14. Stay tuned for the Prudential halftime report right after these messages. 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Michael Jordan with 12 points on 4 of 9. And Tony Kukoc, a starter today, 7 points along with 6 assists. While the Pistons from 2-point range at 54%. And Matt, as you touched on, 3-point shooting, 1 of 10 for 10%.
And the only one coming right here, Lindsey Hunter finding the mark, but the ball not going inside enough and drawing the defense to get some shots in rhythm, either with 1 pass out or making the 2 extra pass. There's that one by Lindsey Hunter, although they have tried all over the court, just not able to get it.
All right, moments ago, Ahmad chatted with Detroit head coach Doug Collins. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Doug, down by 12 at halftime. Seems like you guys are having a little bit of problem getting to your offense.
I don't think that's it, Ahmad. I would like to think that was it. It's second shots for points and points off turnovers. We got out-rebounded 24-10. They have 15 points on the offensive boards. They have 12 points off our turnovers. So is our offense pretty? No. But to me, the difference in the game is they're imposing their will on us.
You were a little bit concerned early in the first quarter about them being a little bit passive.
Well, you know, when you play a championship team, they look at you, and they get that championship look, and you got to be able to look back. And when you get banged, you got to be able to stand there, and you got to be able to deliver it back. And right now, I just don't think we're standing up to the Bulls like I'd like for us to. We've got to be a lot more aggressive, Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Doug. Okay. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. And what was most damaging to the Pistons, a 13-0 run at one stretch over a 5-minute period in the first half. We'll be right back. Back in Chicago, you may have noticed a new perspective that we have presented here tonight, the NBA on NBC Air Cam. It is an apparatus located high above the arena which can track the players via remote control, a device nurtured along by Dick Ebersol, the most powerful man in sports, for this week's Sporting News poll. And Matt, for some reason, you were not on that list. An outrage! But Dick and his technical staff have been working on this the past 6 years, and it has provided a different view that we hope that you're enjoying. It's gotten Matt dizzy on a number of occasions, but that's Matt. Nothing at all to do with the technical skills of our staff. Third quarter underway. The Bulls 49 and the Pistons 37.
Hey, that Grant Hill with 6 for 12, very respectable. The rest of the team just 9 for 24. And Grant Hill, no assists, mainly because the Bulls have been able to single cover him primarily with Scottie Pippen. He's been unable to get his teammates involved.
That was knocked away from Otis Thorpe. The travel was waved off. Grant Hill played by Scottie Pippen. Grant Long puts the move on Dennis Rodman. Shot clock running down. And here's Hunter for 3. They cannot buy one from downtown. Harper was down on the floor, was able to pop up to take that back tap. Jordan, and a loose ball foul. Foul on Otis Thorpe, battling with Dennis Rodman.
Well, Otis Thorpe, a good defensive rebounder. His natural instinct is just to go for the basketball. But when you're playing against Dennis Rodman, whoever is around him has to block him out. Whether it's Otis Thorpe or Grant Long, he just can't get free runs at the offensive glass like that. Otis Thorpe goes to the bench.
Otis Thorpe replaced by Don Reed, the second-year player from Georgetown. Pippen. And it'll count. Goaltending is called. Don Reed, the last pick in the 1995 draft. 58th selection, but as we mentioned earlier, ended up starting 46 games at center. And the Pistons went 30-16 in those 46 games. Don Reed and his agent like to point out, I'm sure, on a number of occasions. Another three, and the Pistons finally hit from downtown. Lindsey Hunter with 11 points. 51-40 Chicago. Phil Jackson has opened up with Michael Jordan, Ron Harper up the guard, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Tony Kukoc on the front line. Kukoc making only a second start of the season. Jordan able to keep it alive. Keeps the dribble going, and then fires.
Well, there it is again, Michael Jordan. He's going to do this to a lot of people. He's just still too quick and able to out-hustle the Pistons for that loose rebound.
And as Ahmad mentioned earlier, Jordan is quicker this season, lost about 5 or 6 pounds, did not play as much basketball as he did going into the previous season. Pippen passed on the three and then tied up and fouled by Hunter.
Now, Tony Kukoc was forced to take an off-balance shot, and it appeared that Grant Hill had that rebounding position, and then the ball just coming loose, and really nothing Lindsey Hunter could do there. Michael Jordan, the quick, strong hands, able to pick it up.
Bill Wennington has come on for the first time. For the matchup now at center, Wennington and Reed. Dumars in a discussion with Jess Kersey. Foul on Dumars. That is his second. Pippen using the Wennington screen. Jordan with the fadeaway. And a friendly rim for Michael Jordan, who now has 16 points.
Well, that was good execution that time by the Bulls offense, and I guess it's always going to be good when the ball winds up in the hands of Michael Jordan, who can just make that one-on-one move, rise from everybody else to get the jumper.
Well said, Matt.
Boy, you got to get it out quick when he drives. He had that sneaky quick dump.
16 points for Hill. He is on a tear. 7 of 13 overall. He's in his last 3 shots, 18 points for Jordan. And the Bulls by 15. Batted away. Last touch by Jordan. Last season, the Bulls went 4-0 against the Pistons. They have won 17 straight against Detroit. Michael Curry, 3-year man from Georgia Southern, checking back in. Michael Curry has made the rounds, played in 4 countries, the CBA, the USBL. Foul is called, loose ball foul. Off the steal is on Reed. The last time the Pistons beat the Bulls in Chicago, March of 1990. The last time the Pistons beat the Bulls anywhere, March of 93. Well, they're working on Grant Hill. The right leg. Rodman with the tip. Wennington able to keep it alive. They control the offensive glass. And then deflected out. Last touch by the Pistons.
Well, Dennis Rodman continues to roam freely underneath the basketball with nary a blue or teal shirt being put on him, as he's either just keeping the ball alive or getting rebounds for Chicago.
Weddington going last. Biggest lead of the night, a 17-point margin for the Bulls. Saw Grant Hill race from the bench to the scorer's table. He will check back in a moment. 4 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Hunter with the backdoor pass for Reed, and he's fouled. So, John Reed will go to the line. Let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, Mark. Grant Hill just sort of re-injured the same wrist he had injured on a dunk earlier in the season. As you can see, he's on his way back into the game now, so he's fine.
And there it is. Just moments ago, Grant Hill able to accelerate and might have hurt himself with that move.
Well, Grant Hill and I'm sure the other Pistons have these opportunities to get to the basket. Not quite as spectacular as that, because the Bulls' interior defense is not big. There's no Luke Longley to take up space in there. There's no shot blocker. So the Pistons should be taking every opportunity to get to the basket.
And Scottie Pippen with a three. He now has 21. Superb shooting by the Bulls. They are 28 for 60. 22 assists on their 28 buckets. Hill now has 18 points.
Well, even though that's 5 assists for Detroit, very low, yet they are last in the NBA in assists, mainly because Grant Hill does a lot of scoring. Nobody is passing to him. Here's a wild pass by Bill Weddington. They do get assists on a lot of their three-point shooting, but that's about 8 field goals a game. The rest of it is a lot of one-on-one play by Grant Hill.
It'll be Detroit ball in their front court. Hill met by the double team. Weddington over to help. Hunter. And Long with the follow.
That's what I mean by attacking the basket, getting in there. Even though that shot didn't go for Lindsey Hunter, one of those kinds of shots that he has improved on, it forces the defense to react and then affords some offensive rebounding chances.
Michael Jordan trying to set up in the post area. Rodman, Harper. And for Dennis Rodman, his 6th assist of the game, along with 12 rebounds.
Terrific back pick by Michael Jordan to free up Ron Harper.
And Dumas fouled. Michael Jordan committing his 3rd.
Well, the Chicago Bulls running their offense to a T, and Michael Jordan known for a lot of things in the basketball. Here just making the simple back pick, but it was a pressure as the defense all reacted to that. And then Rodman finding the wide open Ron Harper for the easy one.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Bud Light, who reminds you that fresh beer tastes better. By Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers. And by Nike.
Happy holidays from all of us at NBC Sports. And here in the third quarter, Michael Jordan has taken over. He's hit his last 3 shots.
Well, Michael Jordan, who a lot of people felt was getting tired in second half. Well, he came out to start this third quarter with lively legs, getting to the basket, coming up with loose balls, and really feeling it with the jump shot.
And as you might expect, Michael Jordan is the early leader in the Eastern Conference All-Star voting, followed by Grant Hill. Scottie Pippen also getting his share. Joe Dumars at the free throw line. 9 points for Dumars, 3 of 4 at the line. 6:22 left in the third quarter. The Bulls 64, the Pistons 49. And the Bulls now with Steve Kerr and Michael Jordan at the guards. Bill Weddington up Scottie Pippen.
And Michael Jordan just had something to say to Scottie. Say, hey, he's been making all those jump shots. Had a chance for an assist there, and that one bottomed out. I mean, spun in and fell out.
Hunter from three. That's their chance to get back into the game by hitting three-pointers, but they have been off. And Hunter overall, 3 of 14 from the field. Rodman is fouled. Down by Reed. Don Reed with his second. Reminder, Sunday, join NBC Sports for the opening round of the NFL playoffs, the AFC Wild Card game, beginning at 12 noon Eastern with the NFL on NBC, and then a rematch of last year's spectacular AFC Championship game as captain comeback Jim Harbaugh and the Indianapolis Colts go up against Jerome Bettis and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the AFC Wild Card. That'll be Sunday, starting 12 noon Eastern right here on NBC.
You mentioned, Marv, that maybe the only way the Pistons can get back is with three-point shooting. They're going to have to also do it at the defensive end. Although when the Pistons do get defensive rebounds and force some turnovers, they are still not a good running team, and they don't strike that quickly. And that's very tough to come against any team, let alone the Chicago Bulls.
The Pistons 2 of 14 from three-point range. Shot will count. It's a goaltend on Reed.
Dennis Rodman with terrific extension there. I think he had thoughts of possibly finishing off with a dunk with the left hand, was too far out as Reed came over and clearly goaltended the play. As Dennis Rodman very much under control. You know, the Bulls have had some uneven performances lately where they've played well for maybe an 8-minute stretch here, a 12-minute stretch there. This is probably one of their best in quite some time.
And Rodman now with 7 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Hill blocked by Pippen. Hill. And Hill again. Grant Hill able to hang in. 20 points for Grant. And the Bulls lead 67-52. Pippen off the double pick. And a foul as Reed reaching in took it out of the hands of Weddington.
Now, Bill Weddington getting a running start for that offensive rebound. Since Don Reed has come into the ballgame, he has lent some kind of a physical nature to the game, something the Pistons were missing. As Luke Longley sitting there has said on a number of occasions how embarrassed he was that he feels he has hurt his team by getting in that bottom surfing accident out in California during an early season road trip. He has, because even though Luke Longley is not going to play major minutes and is not necessarily a focal point of this team, he's necessary to their defensive scheme of things by clogging up that lane, being able to play against other big people, and consequently has made other people having to work harder in other areas.
The Bulls 68 and the Pistons 52. It's the second half of our Christmas night doubleheader. Earlier here on NBC, the Lakers defeated the Suns 108-87 in Phoenix. Three-point miss this time by Grant Long. Shaquille O'Neal leading the Los Angeles Lakers with 26 points. And the Lakers move into a first-place tie with the Sonics with a record of 20 up, 9 down.
Well, you look at Scottie Pippen's eyes. He is really enjoying this matchup with Grant Hill. Those two got to see quite a bit of each other as Don Reed on a nice give-and-go with Dumars finishes off. As those two went at it quite a bit in those Olympic practices before Atlanta this summer, and the people that witnessed it said it was something to see.
14 points, Chicago lead. Foul on Reed. Catching Jordan with his shoulder. And Tony Kukoc checking back in. That is a quick 4 fouls on Reed. Oh, Michael Jordan to the line. Scottie Pippen gets a hand from the crowd as he sits down. 21 points, 7 rebounds for Pippen. And a Detroit substitution, first appearance of the game for Theo Ratliff. Replacing Grant Long, Theo Ratliff, a shot blocker. First-round draft pick last year out of Wyoming.
Doug Collins was talking at the beginning of the year at training camp with Don Reed and Theo Ratliff, and they could be two big men who could gain some playing time if the Pistons could develop some kind of a trap, some kind of a press, because Theo Ratliff will control that basket area, will knock a shot away, something the Pistons don't do often.
How about Michael Jordan missing consecutive free throws? But the Pistons could not take advantage. Now Jordan off the dribble. Ratliff to the loose ball, takes a hit from behind.
And Steve Kerr will let Bill Wennington know all about that. Don't ever make a pass to a shooter. Steve Kerr was wide open there. Put the hands out. Why would you not pass me that ball, Bill? Because you want to shoot it.
And here is Hill, able to penetrate. Grant Hill with 22. The Bulls lead by 12. Chicago is led by as many as 18. Kukoc for three. Rebounded by Hill. 3-on-1, led by Hill. Leads Reed. Trying to go behind the back. What a bad play that was. Whoa. Rodman. That's a crusher because the Pistons could have been within 10. Instead, they're down by 14.
And no question, the momentum was just shifting ever so slightly, but Don Reed got caught too far underneath the basket. It didn't get his feet straight and able to finish that play.
Oh, Hill hitting the floor hard. He's all right. Foul call on Wennington. And a timeout is coming up.
Grant Hill loves that open floor situation. As soon as he spots daylight, he can get to the rim. And then really a good pass to Don Reed, who just never got his feet together, fumbled the ball, and then just gave Chicago an easy one.
An outstanding all-around performance for Dennis Rodman.
Oh, the 6 rebounds in the third quarter, 15 overall, the best maybe ever at tipping the ball to himself and controlling. Doesn't jump high, doesn't have to, just able to control the ball and keep it to himself. And when he gets a clean one, loves to start the fast break.
And overall, 9 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists, 6 offensive rebounds. 2 minutes, 15 seconds left in the third quarter. The Bulls 70 and the Pistons 56. And a holiday chat between Dennis Rodman and the official Gus Kersey. 23 points for Grant Hill. The Bulls stay the same following the timeout. Michael Jordan with 18 points. Scottie Pippen leading Chicago with 21. Jordan and Hunter able to take it out of the hands of Wennington. Hunter, very impressive.
Well, that's that area that he has improved. Doug Collins upset at halftime with the lack of physical play from his team. There's a couple of physical bodies in there now. Michael Curry and Don Reed. Theo Ratliff, not really that type, more of a finesse leaper shot blocker type, but you see a more aggressive type of team at the defensive end right now for Detroit.
And Jordan is being guarded by Michael Curry. The officials confer and they say jump ball. Question who deflected it out. This is Ron Harper checking back in, and he gives Michael Jordan a rest. So Michael with 18 points. And Grant Hill will sit down.
We were talking earlier about some of the things you have to do to be ready to play the Chicago Bulls, and really what should be at that top of the list, you have to be ready to match their intensity. Doug talked about a little bit at halftime. This is a championship team who checks you out, looks in your eyes, see what you're made of, and then goes about their business accordingly. But you got to be ready to battle in a physical way with the Chicago Bulls.
Bill Wennington, Steve Parting leads with 3 points. Randy Brown making his first appearance, local product out of Chicago in his 6th NBA season out of Mexico State, where he is number 1. Strong defensive player. 1:25 remaining in this third quarter. And the Bulls control. Off the screen and foul.
Detroit, the personal foul down Reed.
Foul committed by Reed. That's number 5 on Reed. 5 fouls in 10 minutes.
And this is a terrible foul here. Fouling the jump shooters, I think both players. Michael Curry was there well hitting Kukoc. You'd rather see that to take that shot. You know, it seems like the Bulls are in control of this ballgame, yet only up 11 points. And in one of those rare occasions for Phil Jackson, he has both Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on the bench getting a rest. In probably 9, 10, 11 years, that happens very, very rarely for the Chicago Bulls. A chance for Detroit to take advantage of it.
Terry Mills checks back in for the Pistons. He has not been able to get going. He's had the hot hand from three-point range. At one point this season, hit 13 straight three-pointers over a period of 3 games that tied the NBA record. Here is Mills. Ratliff. Nice move by Theo Ratliff, the second-year player from Wyoming. The Bulls try to break, but the Pistons got back. Bulls 72, Pistons 61. Bulls only one of the last 7 from the field. Kukoc facing the double team. Oh, and a bad pass. Got away from Hopper.
I said one of those rare times with Pippen and Jordan on the bench together while the game is still in doubt, and it certainly is right now. And a chance for Detroit with 39 seconds left in this third quarter to take a 2-for-1 situation. See if they do it.
Hunter is now 4 of 16 from the field. And the Bulls will hold for a final shot of the quarter, down to 15 seconds. Bulls lead by 11. 5. And Kerr hit on a reach-in. Lindsey Hunter called for his second with 4 5/10 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And Detroit over the foul limit, so Steve Kerr, one of the best free throw shooters in the league, will shoot 2.
91%ers. Steve way down in three-point shooting this year, down around 10. It's very low for him. 43%. He'll get it up close to 50% before too long.
Steve Kerr, in terms of the all-time leaders, over 47% from three-point range. That's number 1 in NBA history. And as we talked about his shooting, he misses the first of his 2 free throws. Bulls lead 73-61. Final seconds of the quarter. And it's picked off by Brown. Here's Kerr. Drilled it, but it will not count. The quarter had ended.
That's a lot of passes in 4.5 seconds. I don't know how anybody thought they could do all this. And Steve Kerr is losing contact here with the clock. Took that extra dribble, and the buzzer sounding way before Steve Kerr was able to launch that shot.
So after 3 in Chicago, the Bulls with a 12-point lead. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
Ahmad Rashad back at the United Center. Now, just at the end of the third quarter, you see Phil Jackson coming down to take a seat next to Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Now, there's a reason for that, see? Now, I talked to Chip Schaefer. He told me that because their team is so old, they want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. So they travel with these black seat cushions all across the league, not only here at the United Center, but all over the league. They travel with these cushions, and they say it takes the pressure off the players' legs and their back. And also, just for an added measure, it also gives them better sitting posture. So Phil leaving to take a seat there to take a little pressure off his knees, Marv.
That is why he is the Zen master. I'm not talking about Ahmad.
We have to get our order in.
Yes. Well, Grant Hill opens up this fourth quarter. He now has 25, and the Bulls lead 73-63. So the Pistons able to hang around. They've trailed by as many as 18. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen are back on the floor. After a brief rest, here's Pippen. Scottie Pippen with a three-pointer, 24 for Pippen. And the Bulls now lead by 13 points. Of significance over the first three quarters, Detroit with only 7 assists. Chicago with 25 of the 29 field goals. And here's Kukoc. Rebound to Rodman. Harden Kukoc. Another assist. And another field goal. Dennis Rodman with 17 rebounds.
And Doug Collins particularly upset with Terry Mills right now for not laying the body either back or front on Dennis Rodman to keep him off the glass. That has been a killer along with the horrible three-point shooting for Detroit.
Here's Harden way downtown. Oh, look out. Hill again hitting the floor. He and Rodman involved in a collision. And last touch by Rodman. The Pistons now 2 of 16 from three-point range. They came into tonight 45% in that department, leading the NBA.
No, that's going to happen to jump shooting teams. They're not going to be able to shoot 45 and 50% from three-point range. What the Pistons' concerns are is that they're going to have an inside game that they can force people to react to them down low.
Well, Thorpe able to field the air ball thrown by Hill, and the Bulls now lead 78-65. Quick release by Pippen, and Jordan not boxed out.
Now, Scottie Pippen has the green light, and rightly so, the way he has shot the ball throughout this ball game. And when he is making his perimeter shot, you know you're going to get the rest of the package from Scottie as far as passing, rebounding, and defense.
Otis Thorpe again. He now has 11. And the Bulls now lead by 13. Michael Jordan goes to a series of spins and finds Randy Brown. And last touch by Hill.
Now, once again, Dennis Rodman doing his damage around the glass. Just a little shove to get Terry Mills out of there, as Mills did not make enough contact. But Dennis Rodman is just so active around the glass, always moving, always banging around. And that time, no chance at all of getting the rebound to make sure he took the body of Grant Hill out.
And that captures Dennis. That is his personal Christmas card. Happy holidays, it says, from Dennis Rodman.
Miller, where great taste runs in the family, brings you Miller Moments.
Well, tonight we look at the career of Johnny Red Kerr, who played for the Syracuse Nationals, which later became the Philadelphia 76ers. Kerr also played for Baltimore, averaged just under 14 points and 11 rebounds in his 12-year NBA career. In 1966, Kerr was named the first head coach in Bulls history and won Coach of the Year honors that season. That is Johnny Kerr, now one of the Bulls broadcasters. Very popular figure here in the Chicago area. Won't count. Michael Jordan fouled before the shot. And in recognition of this classic moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Big Red, Johnny Kerr.
Johnny, one of the best passing centers of all time.
3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. The Bulls lead by 13. Box out by Long. And here comes Hill, leading four. Oh, a reverse high off glass by Otis Thorpe.
Well, a rare fast break, but Otis Thorpe does a terrific job of running out when somebody else gets the rebound. In that case, Grant Hill, and finishes very well at the end, although that was on the fortunate side.
Randy Brown off the rim. And here comes Hill, and again, the Pistons are hanging around and have a crack at it. Here's a three-pointer. A rare three-pointer for the Detroit Pistons. Lindsey Hunter. It is down to an 8-point lead. Hunter is 2 of 6 from downtown. Kukoc for three. Well, Tony Kukoc able to answer. And the Bulls now lead by 11.
A minor dagger at this point of sorts by Tony Kukoc. The Pistons don't have the kind of defense that forces turnovers, especially against a team like Chicago, who takes such good care of the ball. They have to force misses.
Grant Hill off the dribble going right at Scottie Pippen, who has to play for the drive. And Hill went to the pull-up. 83-74 Chicago. 27 for Hill. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad from the Windy City on Christmas night. Bulls trying to make it 8 straight wins. Pippen for three.
Another dagger there as Grant Long had Tony Kukoc under control, took away his left-hand drive, but the defense collapsed on the little half penetration, and that enabled Pippen to get open in the left corner.
And Pippen is 5 of 7 from three-point range. To a very difficult shot by Jordan.
Joe Dumars can be an effective post player, but not against Jordan.
Kukoc for three. Rodman with the rebound. Jordan with the tip. And on the back tap, kept alive by Kukoc. Jordan got the stick. And the bucket, yes, and a count. Well, Michael Jordan will be headed to the foul line. The Pistons taking a timeout with 6:43 to go in this fourth quarter. Here's Jordan faking the long shot, beating Thorpe. It counts, and the foul. So Michael with the baseline drive. He now has 22 points. We'll be back in Chicago in a moment.
NBC is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. By 1-800-COLLECT, the way we call collect today. And by Miller Lite, with a great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite. Life is good.
Well, the snow is falling here in the Windy City, and Matt, so appropriate that we are here in Chicago because NBC's got a new must-see TV comedy about three brothers who really know how to handle the ladies.
This run in my stocking goes all the way up my thigh.
It is called Chicago Suns, a funny new show Wednesdays coming in January to NBC. Well, we've had a first-hand look at our NBA on NBC Air Cam, and our thanks to Garrett Brown, so instrumental in developing this remote control device. You can see the different angles, different perspective on the game. 6 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Bulls have an 89-74 lead on the Pistons. Otis Thorpe has picked up the scoring in the second half. He now has 15 points.
And that was a more definitive move inside by Otis Thorpe, who oftentimes is very methodical and slow with his post move, which enables defensive help to come down and disrupt.
Pippen with another three. And again, the Bulls get another possession out of it, thanks to Randy Brown.
Looks like Chicago wants to give the knockout blow after Detroit closed to within 8. The Bulls had a couple of three-pointers, Kukoc and Pippen, and the three-point play by Jordan to regain control.
Hill trying to hit long on the roll, but it was broken up. Pistons come in winners of 4 of the last 5, 9 of the last 11. The last game Saturday night in New York, lost to the Knicks 95-92. The Knicks avenging a loss in Detroit 3 days earlier, blown out by the Pistons by 34 points. Shot clock at 4. 24-second violation. The ball did not hit the rim.
And that was terrific defense by Dennis Rodman on the low post. Sometimes I think that Dennis plays the bigger people much better than he does the guys like Otis Thorpe, people that he's supposed to play. But he turned it up a notch there and forced a very bad shot from Otis Thorpe.
Shot clock at 7. Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen 5 of 9 from downtown.
He's going to have to ice his arm.
Yes, he will.
Big time after this one. 23 shots.
Rodman trying to draw the charge. Here's Hunter who can sky. Only 6 of 19, but he has come out of the fourth quarter. 15 points for Hunter. 11-point Chicago lead. Open shot for Brown. His work on the jump shot. Put a lot of time in during the offseason. And the Bulls now lead 91-78.
Chicago just so confident. Even though the Pistons making a little bit of a run and hanging close, the Bulls not getting tentative, not getting cautious, playing their game, taking the first open shot they see.
Here's Hunter. Able to go glass in a nice move on Brown. Bulls 91 and the Pistons 80. Kukoc wide open. Jordan not able to get to that tip. And Thorpe wrestled it free. Here comes Hunter. Brown back. Dumars. And Hunter to the rebound and foul. Hit on a reach-in by Brown. Terrific hustle by Lindsey Hunter.
And terrific hustle by Otis Thorpe to chase down that loose rebound and get on the floor and get after it. As now the Detroit becoming the aggressor on the glass. Had they started the game and played in that second quarter like this, they would have been a lot closer, but they were the tentative ones then. Chicago much quicker to all of those loose rebounds and loose balls.
Lindsey Hunter is 79% free throw shooter. This is Judge Bushler. Played briefly earlier. Reporting back along with Steve Kerr for Randy Brown and Tony Kukoc. Now a timeout being called by Doug Collins. 22nd timeout. With 3:48 remaining in this fourth quarter. Well, Doug Collins, in his second year as head coach of the Pistons after 6 years in television with Turner, which leads me to mention that it will be the Orlando Magic and the Miami Heat on TBS tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. No, Doug will not be behind the microphone. He's busy with other matters. Minutes 48 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Bulls lead the Pistons 91-80. Second meeting of the season between these two clubs. In that first get-together at Auburn Hills back in early November, 5th game of the year for both teams. Bulls beat the Pistons by 18 to open up the season at 5-0, and the Bulls have won 17 in a row against Detroit, including the last 14 here in Chicago. Hunter missing on both. There have been several occasions where the Pistons have had the chance to put a dent into that lead, but could not. And right there, another opportunity. Jordan, the tip by Bushler. And each situation, the Bulls have been able to come back to extend the lead.
Your margin for error against a team like the Chicago Bulls is so small. Throughout the 48 minutes of the game, you have to take care of the ball. You have to rebound. You got to make your share of shots. In this case, three-pointers. To be hanging around, at the end of a ball game to give yourselves a chance to win and not just to coming from way behind. And really, the Pistons didn't do that well enough in the early part of this ball game.
Illegal defense called again against Chicago, their second violation. And Michael Curry will shoot the technical. Chicago Bulls on their way to making it 12-1 here at home. The only loss earlier this month to Miami. The only loss here at home. On the road, 13-2. And the Bulls will be on the road tomorrow night in Atlanta, and then Saturday back home for the Cavaliers. Detroit tomorrow night back home for the Indiana Pacers. We come up on 3 minutes remaining in the fourth.
Interesting defense for Chicago, and then Michael is matched up defensively against Long, the power forward, as the Pistons try to go inside the Thorpe.
And Thorpe with the rebound. Scottie Pippen, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. And the foul is called. Foul on Kerr. 2:41 to go in this fourth quarter. Timeout taken. You are watching the NBA on NBC. Well, our staff looking for help from all possible sources. You know, Matt, you got to do what you got to do.
Shouldn't he be tired at this point?
Talk about Michael?
Oh, him too. Because look at all the shots. Michael from all over the place. Not only the perimeter shots, but Michael very aggressive at getting inside, taking the ball to the basket, a few post-ups as Michael and Scottie Pippen raising their game for the Detroit Pistons.
Otis Thorpe battling with Dennis Rodman. That's number 4 on Rodman. Dennis Rodman, 20 rebounds. Season high for Rodman, 23, December 14th against Charlotte. And how about the Bulls on the offensive boards? 23 offensive rebounds.
And 11 of them for Dennis Rodman. As the Bulls, I should say the Detroit coaches telling their players, Grant Long, Otis Thorpe, anytime that's your matchup, you must make contact with him. Don't worry about getting a rebound. As Collins giving Grant Hill a well-deserved pat on the back, but Grant Hill will not be happy with this game despite the 27 points. Maybe because Grant Hill didn't get his teammates involved. I think he prides himself not only on his rebound stats, his defense, but the ability to get those 6, 7, or 8 assists a game, and he didn't do it. Just 2 tonight.
And the Detroit free throw shooting only 12 of 20, and that has hurt. We're down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. 12-point Chicago lead. Bulls have led by as many as 18. But in watching this game, you would think the Bulls should be up by about 25 points. Here's Hunter with curve back. Hunter all the way, going high off glass. And now Steve Kerr off the ball fake. Sends up Dennis Rodman and counts. Gets the foul. So Dennis Rodman in double figures, 11 points.
Rare opportunity for Steve Kerr to run the middle on the fast break. He's usually the receiving end for three-pointers, as Dennis Rodman timing his steps perfectly as he has been looking more and more for his offense. You know, the Bulls never in a position to really just, deliver a real knockout blow like a 20-25 point win. Let's face it, the Pistons are a good basketball team. That 20-5 record is for real. They have lost to Houston, the only team to score over 100 against them, lost to the Lakers at home, lost to New York. But the Detroit Pistons still a good ball club. Not yet in the class with the Chicago Bulls, no question about that.
1:40 remaining in the fourth quarter. Down to 4 on the 24. Took a poke from Long as he came up with rebound number 22. A magnificent all-around performance by Dennis Rodman. We approach 1 minute left in the game. Jordan for 3. Michael Jordan, 9 of 21 for his 23 points. Here you go. Nice save by Michael.
Twinkle toes Michael. Play moving along the baseline, able to palm that ball and pick out a receiver.
And Phil Jackson obviously feeling no lead is safe as Jordan feeds Kukoc because he stays with 3 of the starters on the floor. With Otis Thorpe able to put it down. He has Jordan out there with Rodman and Kukoc.
And this was a bone of contention in one of the Detroit-Chicago matchups last year where Doug Collins felt that Phil left his stars in the ballgame a little bit too long. And Doug let it be known that he didn't think it was right.
Rodman for 3. Well, as we touched on earlier, although Phil Jackson saying that we have a professional relationship in referring to Doug Collins. These are 2 guys that don't appear to be very fond of each other. Dennis Rodman hears it from the crowd. 11 points, 22 rebounds, and 7 assists.
And under control.
Thorpe has got a piece of the rim on that 3-point attempt. So the Pistons, 3 of 18 from downtown.
And Phil Jackson has been getting the questions from the media here in Chicago about when is he going to find time to rest Michael Jordan. I'm sure he'll worry about it somewhere down the line.
95-83, Chicago with the victory over Detroit to make it 2 out of 2 against the Pistons this season. 18 straight wins for the Bulls over the Pistons. Chicago now 25-3. They have won their last 8. Detroit 20 up and 6 down. We'll be back to wrap it in a moment.